To theCUBE here on New York City NYSE CUBE studio. I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE. Of course, we got our Palo Alto studio connecting Wall Street and Silicon Valley, creating a network effect, bringing innovators together. This is our Crypto Trailblazer series. And in from Palo Alto is Itai, who is the CEO and co-founder of Dynamic, venture-backed hot startup, blazing the trail. Itai, great to see you from Palo Alto here. Just found that out, of course. I live in Palo Alto and look in New York. Good to have you on.
Thanks for having me on the other side of the country.
Yeah, I mean, I love the work right now in the market. I mean, we could be covering AI like it's nobody's business, and supercomputing, NVIDIA, infrastructure, enterprise, and now in Wall Street, seeing that financial impact. A lot of the startups and the young guns here in New York and even in Silicon Valley, they're targeting the enterprise. Right. I think there'll be a big AI wave on the consumer side. Will pop out soon. I think that's just baking in the oven. But right now, all the action seems to be enterprise.
Right.
Because cloud's enterprise ready from day one. It's not just EC2 and S3. You got higher level services. So there's a lot of companies here in New York that are customers.
Yeah.
FinTech's hot. And of course, in Silicon Valley, you got people coming out of Facebook, Palantir, that have real large scale experience, and then you got the crypto wave reborn out of the ashes of the kind of the downside and the regulatory regime that was prior to Trump. So you have this resurgence of decentralized infrastructure dynamics combined with traditional enterprise kind of merging in, with a software layer coming in.
That's right.
That's like Circle meets Palantir vibe, right?
Yeah.
So you got, you got the Mark Andreessen 20 years ago wrote software is eating the world, but it's also now eating money and banks.
That's exactly right. That's exactly
so you got banking and money kind of connecting. So I think there's going to be a surge of innovation in AI software on top of decentralized infrastructure, and what that looks like, I don't know. Nobody knows. If I did, I'd be investing in it, but. You're in the middle of it. What's your reaction to that software blockchain intersection? What are do you agree with it, and what will be your commentary?
100%. We're seeing this on a day-to-day basis. So at the very basic level, right, like finance was very hard. The moats to actually get into, the moats to innovate were extremely complex, right? And what we are seeing recently is essentially you're lowering the barrier to actually create a FinTech app, right? What used to take years for like a Venmo to spin up a Venmo just in the US, you can now with services like Dynamic or others do within days on a weekend, it'll build your own global version of a Venmo or a Zelle very, very quickly. And so you're starting to see this massive acceleration of, to your point, software is eating the world, crypto is eating FinTech in a lot of ways.
It's interesting. I want to get into some of the tech and talk about Dynamic, but I want to just keep on this thread because FinTech used to be this narrow category. Oh yeah, banks or whatever, payment rails and then this. You got APIs, okay, cloud, great. Now you're starting to see with AI, and we're seeing this with theCUBE, retail.
That's right.
Classic retail industry. FinTech is not just a category; it's payments and settlements.
Yes,
that's
right.
Okay, that's up for grabs.
Yeah.
Everything's connected.
That's right.
So AI affects all the industries. So this idea that FinTech is just one thing is over.
That's right.
Okay, so now money is integrated into app. So democratization wave is here.
That's exactly right.
I want to have my own Venmo.
Yeah.
Why not have my own Venmo?
That's exactly right. There's look, what we learned very quickly is that every company that grows up wants to be a FinTech company. Right? And every company that grows up wants to be an identity company. And so what you're going to see is not just FinTech companies or banks, et cetera, but you're going to see FinTech be implemented across anything. Right? There's no reason why kind of a global payroll company doesn't want to start being your neobank when you receive money from them. There's no reason why kind of, if you do like a house purchase, why you don't keep stuff there. Everything is going to have this FinTech component implemented, and to your point, an AI component implemented, just going to work across the
neobank thing is phenomenal, because we've been covering the neo clouds, which is a little bit more interesting on the CapEx side. But Dave Vellante and I were talking, I think 5 years ago when we were at an Amazon reInvent, that Capital One's got a cloud, JP Morgan Chase has got a $17 billion IT budget. Why don't they become their own clouds and serve the other banks that don't have, they could become the AWS of the sector.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they? They're already investing in all the CapEx.
That's exactly right.
Why wouldn't they do that?
That's exactly right. And I would argue that's why you see companies like Airbnb and Uber think about this stuff, is because they're saying, look, I run all the money. I move money internationally at massive scale, whether I'm Airbnb, Uber, or any one of those. why am I not also the bank at the end of that for the drivers, for the consumers? Like, why am I not keeping the financial relationship there? And that's where you're starting to see crypto rails come in and abstract that complexity.
Yeah, I love this conversation. I want to get into what you're working on. Again, one finer point before we jump in is that if you take that one step further, why don't I be the bank? Why don't I just build a platform? Why don't I connect everything?
Yeah.
I got the data.
That's right.
I got the cost barrier. I invested in it. Why don't I harvest that? And that essentially will enable people to build agents. That also impacts the infrastructure.
Yes.
So now what SaaS is evolves into full-blown platforms.
That's
so it's
right.
not just build an app like Airbnb, throw it on Apple's App Store,
and
then people download it and you got a back end you built out. You're actually a service provider.
Yes.
Why wouldn't I do that?
100%.
So, is that, now, okay, then you say, okay, I'm going to enable this democratization with blockchain.
Yeah.
The developers are moving there because of store of value.
Yeah.
If I'm going to store my value, why should I give it to a bank?
That's right.
I'll just hold it and leverage it, do something with it.
That's right. That's right. Issue a debit card against it.
That's just happening in your mind.
That is happening. That is happening today, and very, very quickly. Right? It's exactly that logic of, look, if I'm a fintech company, I'm looking at the rails, I'm like, okay, why am I paying 5 of these providers when I'm transferring money internationally? Why am I not owning the full stack? Why am I giving some of that value away? And if you switch that out with kind of crypto layers with, hey, I will own my own chain on top of Ethereum. I will move my own money. I will even issue my own stablecoin, and I will have wallets on both ends. Then I, as a fintech company, I would own the full stack, and I can get a lot more of the kind of the value of keeping the user.
You know, I had this conversation recently a lot in the past year with old school dudes like me and gals that have been in the software business for a while. Because the old wars of heterogeneous versus homogeneous systems, monolithic mainframes, and then open systems, you kind of have this notion of, hey, I might want to vertically integrate.
That's right.
But you also have the integration of open standards at the same time. So it's not so much proprietary versus open standards. It's like, I'm going to vertically integrate a platform with open standards to create, I won't say moat, because moat sounds too defensive, but like competitive advantage.
That's right. Yeah.
What is the competitive advantage strategy, in your opinion, with these trends? Because I think I've come to the conclusion that, yes, open source, it's not proprietary.
That's right.
So open source standards are out there, open standards.
Yeah.
But I need to integrate vertically.
Yeah.
If I'm going to have a car, I better self-driving car. I don't want to rely on some third party.
Yeah.
I want to own everything, maybe.
That's right. I think to your point, the competitive advantage very much lies in the user relationship, the end user and end consumer relationship, right? That's why you're seeing the Robinhoods of the world and Revoluts of the world do phenomenally well, because they're not competing on, historically they might have competed on better tech, but really now that you're democratizing the tech, you're really competing on, can I deliver this magical experience for consumers today, and to your point, in the future, to AI agents on consumers' behalf, and do that at massive scale. And no one's competing around ACH. ACH is not like a competitive advantage. It's just a shared rail that people use, but because you have that as a shared rail, you can start building these innovative solutions on top of it.
I think where the money is in settlement. Zero latency settlement.
That's right.
Has to be in our future.
That is correct. Zero latency in global, right? So the key thing is we're very fortunate in the US to have access to these like incredible financial systems, but as soon as you venture outside, right, that diminishes very quickly, right? Just the ability for someone, even very basic things, just the ability of someone in South America or Nigeria to access a US denominated account is massive on its own.
Awesome. Well, great commentary. Really appreciate you contributing on that. Let's talk about Dynamic, what you guys do. Give a quick overview of what you guys do, how long you've been in business, who funded you, and what is the value proposition? Yeah,
absolutely. So Dynamic at the very basic level is a wallet infrastructure company. We're backed by Andreessen Horowitz and Founders Fund. We raised about $23 million, so a late Series A company. And really what we do in a nutshell is everything wallets. What that means is the following. If you think about crypto as the electric grid, right? Think about crypto as power moving in the electric grid. We sell outlets. The way to think about wallets is how you plug into the electric grid, and every time you want to interact with it, you have to have an outlet that lets you plug things in. That is a wallet in the crypto analogy, and that's what we do. So if you're a payroll company, for instance, and you want to send money via stablecoin rails, via kind of crypto to end users, it starts with a wallet and it ends with a wallet.
Yeah.
And it starts with programmatic wallets here, which we do through APIs, which agents can use or developers can use. And it ends with consumer branded wallets on the other side of that, where an end user of a company can open their phone, like a Kraken, for instance, can open their phone and just receive funds and everything just works. Yeah. That's dynamic in the background.
So you're like an endpoint for the one wallet and origination of the other. It's
that's
a send
right.
Receive model.
Yeah, so we very much abstract away crypto complexity. The way to think about us is sort of like a Plaid, for instance, or a Stripe, where you don't have to know about the full money movement infrastructure to accept payments. You just need to know that it works. In a very similar way, what Dynamic does is we abstract the crypto complexity for you. You implement Dynamic's SDK, we're a developer tool, and we take care of the abstraction of crypto.
And who's the buyers of the service?
Yeah, so our buyers, so the buyers for us are developers. So the customers we serve are customers like Stripe today, and Kraken, and Zero Hash, and Magic Eden, and Ondo Finance. So developers and businesses.
You're targeting anyone who's doing payment rails.
That is exactly right. So any Web3, as the cool kids like to call it, or any crypto
3.5, whatever. When's it going to be Web 4?
That's right, exactly. So any crypto company that's trying to build a neobank, or any FinTech company that's building a payroll platform, remittance platform, neobank, and is thinking about crypto, would need a service like Dynamic, ideally Dynamic, to power their wallet and money movement infrastructure.
You're trying to create an ease of use mechanism for the developer.
That's right. We're very much
the first time I sat into an Uber, I saw the Stripe swipe when they had that little iPhone attachment. I'm like, that's really easy.
That's right.
So very similar what you're thinking. I could build something that simple for a small business or anyone, whatever could be an enterprise, sales reps getting commissions on deals.
That is exactly right. And we take all of the complexity of doing that. Wallets are security features, right? These are very complex security and money movement type things. We take all of the complexity and abstract it behind the scenes so that you can wake up in the morning and say, look, I want to compete against Venmo on a global level. You can spin that up in the weekend and focus on building your brand rather than re-architecting an entire...
So it's a very interesting business model. So now you can take the security issue and push it to the developer.
That's right.
So you don't actually have to worry about too much. I mean, obviously you have to have security built in.
Right.
That's solid as a rock. But I'm the developer. I'm building an app for someone.
Yeah.
Or my app.
To an extent. So essentially, I actually abstract away the security, at least the key management security for you as a developer. So at the very basic level, what is a wallet? It's a private key that lets you kind of open the door to access your funds. My entire business is essentially a security business. I help you secure that private key. I use really fancy tech, multi-party computation to do that. So there's really no private key.
There's cryptography involved. You're basically innovating on the math.
That's right.
You're ensuring that you're basically the keys are to the kingdom here, the money.
That's exactly right.
Don't get stolen.
That's exactly right. So that whether you're a 2-person startup building the next neobank, or you're a Fortune 500 company saying, let me introduce stable coins for all my customers, you can implement it and not worry about the security aspects of it.
All right, I'll put my skeptic hat on. Okay, I'm scared.
Yeah.
It's a black box to me. My money's being moved around. What if I lose my cash and crypto? What's...
Yes.
How do you calm me down, give me confidence?
That's a completely fair thing, right? That's what we wake up every morning thinking about and what we go to sleep every night thinking about. The way we handle that is by essentially, there's this concept called non-custody, right? Which essentially means you hold the keys. You are the custodial of the keys, and you actually are the only person that can actually do things with your wallet, right? We've seen historically ledgers or physical ways to do this. For those that remember, you can put crypto on your actual physical device. But there are other more creative and kind of innovative ways to do non-custody, meaning how do I ensure it's super easy on the UI side? You just log in like you would to your bank account or to your WhatsApp or whatever, but you get the same security. And so what we do is we actually, in the background, in your device, we store a part of the secret. And on the dynamic side, we store a second part of the secret. And only when those two are combined or kind of interact can something sign. So if the dynamic gets hacked, your information and your money is still safe. And if you get hacked, your money is still safe because they just stole a part of a secret.
Yeah.
So
the only way to get hacked is to have both secrets hacked at the same time.
That's right, but at that point you can start expanding it in more sophisticated use cases to, let's do 3 secrets, let's do 4 secrets, right? And so you...
Yeah, and that's developer controlled.
That's developer controlled, that's
okay,
right.
So I can put the provisions into the algorithm.
That's exactly right.
Protected provisions based on what I deem necessary.
Yes, that's exactly right, and not all users are created equal. So if you have $1 in your wallet, the security approach for you should be very different than someone that has $1 million in their wallet. If you're playing a game and you are gaining some funds in a wallet throughout the game, that's a very different use case if you're storing $10 million in your neobank.
Yeah. Right? I mean, it reminds me of the days I was talking to someone at the Databricks conference, because OLTP Postgres was a big part of the program, and I'm like, OLTP used to be in big financial services kind of thing, big, transactional databases, and reminds me of the micropayment days. Yeah. Right. Remember those days? Little payments going back and forth.
Right. Yeah.
Agents will be doing those. Wallets going to be doing those. So you're going to have a lot of online transactions.
Yes. We actually have an entire tool suite exactly for that. So to your point, you can spin up a wallet and you would log in and you would access it, but agents don't have that need, right? They have this no need for an interface. They just completely programmatically do this. And so everything we described, you can do with what we call server wallets. So the ability for an agent, literally we have an entire agent kit. You can, as an AI agent, show up and say, let me create a wallet for myself, and let me trade with that wallet. So as a developer, for instance...
It's wallet services.
It's wallet services, that's right. As a developer, I can spin up 1 million wallets and have 1 million agents trade on my behalf. Or you can do really sophisticated things like saying, look, I am a trader, I would log in, and I will delegate access to 10 agents to trade complex strategies on my behalf. So you can do all of that with Dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to change so much. I just love the agent wave, and I still think in the main enterprise they're not ready, but on the innovation side, there's definitely an opportunity with entrepreneurs. The question I have to ask you is that I would envision Dynamic enabling a scenario where people will start doing what we hope smart contracts would enable. Yeah. Peer-to-peer direct communications.
Yes.
And commerce.
Yes.
Create value together.
Yeah.
Without an intermediary.
That is exactly right.
Take me through that use case. Are you built for that?
Yes.
And how does that manifest itself?
Yeah, so we're at the very basic level, because we're an infrastructure company, our goal is to really enable the next set of financial innovation to happen on top of crypto rails, right? We're successful if you're starting to see companies that could not exist until today start to exist, right? And the way you do that is you democratize, to your point, a lot of these financial rails. So what you're going to see is you're going to see apps, and we see this today, you're going to see apps where I can do very efficient micropayment at, 1/10 of a cent or 100th of a cent, where 2 folks interact and they can move money very quickly without having to send it to a bank, etc. And they can move money in the same efficient way, whether they're right next to each other or on their other side of the world. So if my sister's in Israel, my ability to send her money and have her receive it within the next 1 minute should be as immediate as me sending you money. And that's what you're going to see.
Talk about the scenario where, let's just say theCUBE wanted to have its own crypto wallet. And say I wanted to hire out some new producers, all these influencers out there, and then hey, we're going to put you out there, good tip jar or whatever you want to do, create a business model. Yeah. Would I do that? The developer on behalf, of course I want to get some fees off that.
Yeah, that's right. Small
taste, lick off the cone as they say. I would want to enable that because I think I would see people wanting to have a crypto donation or contribution.
Yeah.
To a producer or value.
That's exactly. We actually see this really interesting use case of Donate GG, which is a company that uses Dynamic, where you can literally go in, pay with Bitcoin, and donate to St. Jude's Hospital, right? So you can do that. You can literally spin up these wallets. Taking transaction fees depends on licenses, right? So you just want to make sure that you're, being in crypto does not imply that you gotta still ensure you're complying with the relevant regulations. But to your point, that is absolutely possible. And before 2 years ago, 3 years ago, etc., you would have to
do that today with Dynamic.
You can do that today in a weekend with Dynamic.
What do I have to do? Hire a developer to do that?
today maybe hire a developer, fast forward with AI, 6 months, you're not going to need to hire a
Yeah.
developer, you're going to be able to go to
Yeah, you guys
Lovable
can
or
build
Cursor.
or build a Replit kind of scenario.
That's right, you can actually go to Replit today, add dynamic, and be on your merry way. We've seen people do that and spin up dynamic with Replit.
Well, this is the kind of business models that are going to be enabled from,
That's right.
from this new environment.
That's exactly right. To your point, if you have a good idea, right, with AI and crypto, before, if you had a good idea with AI in the last 6 months, you are able to spin up a great app.
Yeah.
In the next 6 to 12 months, if you have a good idea with AI and crypto, you can spin up a global payment app, global neobank bank within a month.
Yeah, and you mentioned GG as an example. You know, I think about gaming, for instance, the gaming culture, what's going on in social media, what we're seeing with micro communities.
Yes.
You're starting to see the formation of these micro communities that are tightly connected.
That's right.
That also have connections to bigger numbers, but you have, and they're domain experts or domain tribal.
Yeah.
And they're all connected to graphs, right? It's the internet, right? So these micro communities are self-governing.
That's right.
And it's not in a Patreon way. It's more of like they just do stuff. Like what we're doing with the NYSEs, theCUBE and the NYSE merging our communities together in an abstract way.
That's right.
Forming a micro community that we have. And no one owns it.
Yeah.
But you know, people might want to invest in your next round. Why not say, hey, you know, come through theCUBE. I got a referral. I know the founder. You know, like, so
yeah, that's right.
I'm hypothetical, but these are the kinds of transactions that would fit the use case of a micro payment or direct, no intermediary required, trusted.
That's exactly right.
And
there, I think, giant businesses to be built in and just going to Facebook groups that are their own micro communities and creating businesses that are vertically integrated with payments and money movement along those with crypto. And those are enabled by dynamic, essentially.
It's a great conversation. Certainly we'll have you on in Palo Alto. Now that I know you live in Palo Alto, we'll get you into our studio there on our next series and focus. Again, we do topics. We can do a deep dive. We didn't get into the math. I was looking forward to that, but you know, we're living in a math world.
Fair enough.
Put a plug in for the company, to close out, what you're looking to do, what's your focus, what are you optimizing for, are you hiring, obviously. You're looking for a next round of funding. Andreessen always steps up. Come on.
Yeah, so we're very well funded. To your point, the biggest thing I think is our launch of what we call stablecoin accounts, which we rolled out on Monday at this point, so 2 days ago. And what that does is take what we described, which is anyone can build a crypto-based app and lower the complexity for that by twofold. And so what we do is we let you plug in an SDK that also brings money from fiat to crypto, from crypto to fiat, and store it in a wallet, move it globally very, very quickly, all as a single SDK. So we just launched that. It's something we're super excited about, and you can check it out at dynamic.xyz.
Well, welcome to the CUBE community. You're now a CUBE alumni, and thanks for coming on, and love your venture.
Thank you so much. I very much appreciate the time.
Okay, the crypto trailblazers are here in New York City. They're in Silicon Valley. They're all around the world. Software, chips, geography, no matter what's happening. The growth of the AI decentralized wave is converging. All the benefits that have been talked about will be realized. And again, opportunity for entrepreneurs, opportunities for big companies to transform. If you don't, it's an extinction event. That's what we're hearing. I'm John Furrier, your host of theCUBE. Thanks for watching.